See, I was going off your response. John Cornyn said 104-seat Senate is on the agenda if a Democrat sweep the election. You said, okay, then let's combine half a dozen Western states. See?
Yeah. But putting me after the FCC has tied my tongue behind my back.
Sorry, that wasn't fair. Now we have to have you back for another happy hour.
Yes.
When this COVID
whenever you like. I would love to put my Zoom face right up against you.
I believe that Rude had been that dirtiest happy hour ever, and then Suzanne Wong outdid him, and then he had to come back and accept the challenge, and so he did another one that was even dirtier because
Yeah.
Suzanne Wong talked about sex acts that you had no idea even existed.
Never heard of any of it.
Yeah.
Okay. She's laughing at me from heaven now.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. I think she made stuff up.
No,
just to make me look
all
dumber.
Those are real.
Okay. I don't.
Anything that you can think of that involves putting something in something, it exists.
Okay.
Yes,
all right.
Trust
okay.
Trust me.
All right. See, you're a fighter like me, Rude. You said when Biden wins, can he sign an executive order just blanket reversing all of Trump's executive orders, asking for a country? Yeah, I mean, I unpack the courts, like Glenn Kirshner says. I'm tired of this. Here's what they're panicked about, Rude. I keep saying this, that when we take the levers of power back and we make it like this easier for people to vote, we should always all have been able to vote by mail safely, easily. Yeah. It shouldn't just be a pandemic. We shouldn't have to take off work and get child's care and stand in line for 10 hours. But then Republicans will never win again. And that's what they're panicked about, right?
Right. So that should be one of the first things we do after getting rid of the filibuster. Right. And then just pass everything to make democracy more, democratic in capital D and lower D ways.
Right. Yes. And you, by the way, confused Trump tells Michigan voters, Minnesota, you better vote for me. You said something, Biden dementia something. Yes, he was told the wrong state. You better vote.
And you know what? Trump even once went off on Biden because Biden said a wrong location. And he was like, who does that?
Yeah. Okay. All right. You said, wait, you mean we're having the fall surge in COVID cases that every single legit healthcare professional warned us would happen if we didn't stop being stupid, selfish holes about it? Yes. Weird, right?
It is. It's just so odd that science actually knew what it was talking about. The idea that we're actually having an election about whether or not to trust science during a pandemic is really peak madness.
Yeah. I mean, Ruth, these two stories are everything that rural Midwest hospitals struggling to handle COVID surge. Right. We just said Wisconsin, North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, all at the top, right, of the brunt of the virus has blown into the upper Midwest and northern plains. The severity of outbreaks in rural communities has come into focus. Doctors and health officials in small towns worry infections may overwhelm communities with limited medical resources. Many say they're still running up against attitudes on wearing masks that have hardened along political lines and the false notion that rural areas are immune to widespread infections because they put that out there. That it's only blue states, so screw them. And, masks are tyranny. And now here we are. Now, how do we ourselves, right?
Right.
I mean,
and I'll go one step further and say one of the bright spots right now in the South is actually Louisiana, which is run by a Democratic governor. Yeah. I mean that they have put on a mask mandate, and it has made cases plunge. Yeah.
Well, I mean, one of the experts there said there's this foolish idea that mask wearing or refusal is some kind of political statement. It has seriously interfered with our ability to get it under control. Republican governors in the region have been reluctant to act. North Dakota governor is a Republican. He's refused to issue a mask mandate. And South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, proving once again I have the worst taste in women ever, has carved out a reputation among conservatives for foregoing lockdowns, blamed the surge in cases on testing increases, even though the state has the highest positivity rate in the nation over the last 2 weeks. I mean, and they're saying, of course, it's this Sturgis motorcycle rally, this Amy COVID Barrett White House thing, super spreader event. I mean, these are, they're not even doing real tracking in the United States, Rude, and it's not, you don't have to be a scientist to go, I think it was that thing. It was that event that 75 people now have COVID from.
Oh, just imagine somebody just laying there, rasping their last breaths, going, I wouldn't die if I hadn't been tested. It's ridiculous. And, we keep seeing these events and we keep seeing the rallies, and you look at them, and it is constantly the horror movie just before Godzilla rises out of the sea.
Yeah.
It's all that we're seeing, or the disaster movie just before the earthquake hits.
Yeah. I was saying, Rude, too. Every time I have Dr. Doom on, listen to Doctor Who's at Vin Gupta on MSNBC. This is what we're all dealing with now. This is what, as you said, was inevitable. It's fall. It's colder in half the country. People are inside more. It's flu season. This is exactly what. And at the same time, many of us want to make plans for Thanksgiving or Christmas. I haven't seen my mother, who's 97, in almost a year. And, oh, by the way, do we have this? Yeah. I don't know if you saw Dr. is competing with Dr. Doom for doominess, but Dr. Osterholm on Meet the Press yesterday. Just take a listen. This is 15.
It's pretty clear that nobody should travel for the holidays. And I know nobody, we're America, it's still freedom of movement, but realistically, we ought to plan on not traveling.
This is our COVID year. Let's accept it. It's not like last year, and it's not hopefully going to be like next year. But I have seen far too many situations where family get-togethers, even weddings, funerals, family reunions, birthday parties, graduation parties have happened where someone brings the virus into the household unknowingly, and then 4 weeks later, at least one or more of the family members are dead.
Ay, rudeness. Yeah, it is wrenching for people, like all of the, because Christmas and New Year's is the only time I have 2 weeks off where I could presumably even try and quarantine and, do all this. Because the other things, I have to keep these guys safe on this end. You got to test, you got to quarantine. I've got to keep my 97-year-old, my mother safe. I mean, it's, anyway, but Dr. Osterholm, just one more. 16.
No one wants to be responsible for that. So if you really love the people that you have in your immediate family, etc., think through this and actually do them the greatest gift of all, and that is distance yourself this year and don't expose them. It's not ideal. We know that, but we're trying to get through to getting vaccines to then make it next year a much, much more likely situation where you can do that safely.
Don't you just hate this mother Trump more than ever? Like some of us may not have a next year with our loved ones. I mean, but this is, talk about, Christmas, right?
Yeah. And, there's a couple of things I think. One is Michael Tomasky had a great column in the Times where he said, Democrats and liberals should embrace the idea that masks equal freedom.
Yes.
Don't let Republicans own freedom on this. They are actually preventing us from being free.
And like Biden, but be a patriot, man. We're America. Yeah. Wear a mask. Yep. I mean, I love this study, by the way. United Airlines did a study that says it's safe to fly.
Wow.
And thanks. Kentucky Fried Chicken says fried chicken is really good for you. I mean, I get, okay. This study, I don't trust Trump's Department of Defense. But anyway, they ran tests with mannequins who apparently didn't get COVID, so that's good.
Oh, well, good.
But no, I get it that the actual environment of the plane is actually safer, but it's just the problem is, like you just said, Rude, you can't count on other people to keep their masks on, to not be eating and drinking on the flight or doing whatever. You can't control in the airport. You can't control, and that's it's just, anyway, just making a wrenching sort of Thanksgiving, Christmas for a lot of us, right?
Oh, and the other thing I think is, I think about kids who you only get so many years to be a kid, and we've essentially stripped away one of those years from kids. I think about the kids I teach, the students that graduated or recently graduated, and thinking about, well, they're facing a long dark haul to get out of this, when they had hopes and dreams after graduating. Like, thank you very much, Republicans. Thank you for leaving this numbnuts in office.
I forgot the point as well, as United Airlines is the only one that didn't give us a refund for sexy liberal travel. Thank you, American and Delta, for doing the right thing. Not that I have a personal axe to grind.
Not at all,
yeah.
no.
It's just be nice if we were united in, helping small businesses like the Sexy Liberal Tour by giving us refunds for, tours we couldn't do. Okay. What?
Okay. There goes those chances.
Oh, well.
Oh.
I've tweeted them. United.
The advertising, no advertising. I'll put in a plug. I'm actually flying United
Are you?
in a few weeks.
Well,
yes,
then it would be
yes.
doubly nice if they would do the right thing by the Stephanie Miller Show and the Sexy Liberal Tour. Okay.
Yes.
You wrote a wrenching piece. Trump has faced less punishment than 3 women in Mississippi arrested for getting health care for their kids. And it really does go to the insanity of our healthcare system, and particularly during a pandemic. They literally went to jail for trying to get healthcare for the kids. Like, we are the only country in the world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These 3 women from Mississippi living right near the Tennessee border and living right near Memphis, in the suburbs of Memphis that happen to be in Mississippi. In order to use the healthcare system of Memphis, they had to have a Tennessee address. So in order to get reasonable, good health care for their kids, they got a Tennessee address, use a friend's address, and these 3 women don't know each other. They're sure there's lots of cases of this. They were arrested and they face 20 plus years in prison, each of them, for getting health care for their kids.
This is why we can't have we don't prosecute former presidents. Oh, by the way, Chris Christie said that to my face. Remember when I saw him I was with Malcolm at the backstage at the Mar show.
Yes.
And I said, he's going to prison. And he said, we don't send former presidents to prison. I'm like, we were sending this one.
His first time.
He might have changed his mind now after
I think so.
Trump gave him COVID.
No, we have to. This one,
yes.
If for no other reason than just to say that our laws actually mean
that
something.
we have laws. Yeah.
Otherwise, the next one's gonna. We keep learning that the next one's worse. The next one's worse.
Yeah. This is again literally 2016 on steroids. He's on steroids, and this is the treason is right in public with the Russian disinformation campaign. Because right, the way what happened with impeachment, literally they think no one will stop them, and we have no laws about anything anymore. Oh, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. You know what I think you need to do to get rid of this frustration?
What?
I think you need to hate the governor of South Dakota.
Yes.
Well, you know what? I will do it for my country, and I will just pretend that it's Linda Carter, who she looks like.
You need to F the conservative right out of her.
I will.
Okay.
I will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll just give her a home on the range. Okay.
What does that mean?
I don't even know.
What does that mean?
I don't even know. It was an empty threat anyway.
You'll go down on her fruited plains.
You know what, Louise? Rude Louise, get out. Just get out. Get
read
I need a door
read
slam.
his latest column, please.
Yeah, just do it. We link to it anyway. I don't know why.
Yeah, at StephanieMiller.com.
Goodbye, hobo.
Thanks,
Bye.
Rude.